What's up, guys? This is Stevan. I'm here to talk about a topic as old as time in the United States, whether college wrestling should stay folk style or change to freestyle wrestling. Before we start, guys, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notifications bell just so you get a notification every time that we post a video and keep the content going. For those of you who don't know what folk style wrestling is, it's only done in the United States of America. Nowhere else in the world does folk style. It's basically done from high school and college level. And it ends there. It's the amateur version of wrestling or amateur style of wrestling, more focused on about control, holding somebody down, wrestling. It's something that maybe transitions really well into MMA and UFC, where that control element that wrestlers are dominating in today with. In folk style, the pinnacle of the sport is becoming an NCAA champion, or like just the best in America at the college amateur level. Now, freestyle wrestling, it's the pinnacle of wrestling in the world. It's done in every country, including the United States, and anyone who wants to be the best strives to be a world champion or an Olympic champion in freestyle wrestling. Also, freestyle wrestling, for the most part, promotes a higher level of skill that's needed. To be able to finish an attack and explode through a position, you can't really hang around and roll on your back, because you'll give up points, and this could cost you to lose a match from some bad technique that you can get away with wrestling, more of on the folk style side of things. Here is my opinion of why I think freestyle should replace folk style in the American system, in high school and college, and why we should be on one track going from youth all the way through high school, college, to reach the pinnacle and the professional side of wrestling. So first of all, I think it's kind of crazy that folk style is only done in the amateur side of things, and so most high-level wrestlers who have had very successful college careers, like myself, like other wrestlers who are NCAA champions, that have the goal of reaching the highest level of wrestling in freestyle wrestling and want to wrestle on the world stage and compete in freestyle, most of them want wrestling to change from folk style to freestyle because it's conducive and we're only doing one style all year round. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think folk style is important for maybe development. It's something that can be done on the side, but definitely something on a competitive level of being a state champion, of wrestling in college D1, or being an NCAA champion. I think that all of that competing in one style, like freestyle, would make things a lot easier transitioning to make quicker gains in wrestling. Obviously, a lot of top wrestlers in the U.S. who are NCAA champions are able to make a transition and compete well in freestyle, but it's because they've also been training freestyle at a high level since they were younger as well. Most of my youth career, all the way up through college, I was spending more time focusing on my folk style career, probably 7 months or 8 months out of the year, while the rest is focusing on freestyle and trying to change over a lot of different things like tactics, positions. There's a different style of mentality that you have changing over so much that it makes things very difficult to achieve goals in my freestyle career, which I cared more about. For me, I always liked wrestling freestyle more. I thought it was more fun, and me being more of an attack style wrestler, I enjoyed the reward that I got from freestyle, which I think makes it more exciting to watch. This made it very difficult, and I probably would have seen more success in freestyle in my goals that I wanted to have at a younger age versus, a lot of my goals of becoming, a world medalist or a world champion, I wasn't even able to accomplish till I was a few years out of college, and I felt where I was on more of a one-track minded thing. So I think a lot of American wrestlers would have the success that they would be having at a younger age if we were able to be competing all year round in freestyle. For example, that would be like training rugby half the time out of the year while trying to play American football, and then you all of a sudden go to college to play D1 rugby, and then all of a sudden afterwards you have to then go and play in the NFL. That doesn't really align and make sense. Yes, there are some players who are just freaks, and there are some players who are talented enough to do that and are able to do that. But for the majority, most are going to get weeded out and aren't going to be able to make that transition all the way. If America wants to be the best in MMA from a wrestler standpoint, continue wrestling folk style. That's where you're going to see your biggest dividend in return. Now, if the USA's goal is to transition to be the #1 country in the world in wrestling and dominate the world in Olympics and world level wrestling, then we need to transition to freestyle on all platforms. People don't realize that the US being a powerhouse in wrestling, in freestyle wrestling, is more of a recent thing. Thank goodness for Jordan Burroughs, who propelled freestyle wrestling and with his dominance on the world level for the last 10 years, along with other wrestlers who followed suit, Kyle Snyder, David Taylor, Kyle Dake, all of these guys coming up in the U.S. into the circuit after college and, you know, showing that USA can win on the world level as a team. This is all pretty recent. Also recently, women have also been doing amazing on the freestyle circuit for Olympic and world level wrestling because, in my opinion, college wrestling for women's is freestyle. So in my opinion, guys, I think the most important thing that needs to change is college wrestling. Whatever is in college wrestling is going to be popular, okay? The fan bases, the crowd, the atmosphere, supporting your team, all of that is what's exciting, and that's what a lot of influence that drives people to want to be an NCAA champion is what's done in college. So if freestyle is implemented in college wrestling, it's going to be just as popular, if not more popular, because freestyle is a more exciting style of wrestling, in my opinion. Most people who do think that folk style is exciting to watch, most of them were wrestlers of folk style or didn't do much freestyle. So there's a little bit of a biased opinion in that end. But, you know, from most of the top and the highest level wrestlers that are seeking greatness want the sport to change from folk style to freestyle. And I think that's something to be said, not just coming from me. Obviously, I've had better accolades in freestyle, but so you don't forget, I've had a very successful college career, being an NCAA runner-up, a 3-time All-American, a Big Ten champion in folk style wrestling, and did it all of my life, probably more than I did freestyle. So this is coming from someone who's had high accolades in folk style and loved doing it, by the way, but seeing and wanting the USA to do really well and be the #1, surpassing Russia and surpassing all of these other countries every year, not just 1 year out of a blue moon. But what we need to do is have folk style change to freestyle on all ends. A reason why I think that also that folk style has a little bit of a boring aspect isn't just from me, it's from, I have 2 sisters, my mom, I have some women in my life who are watching me wrestle my folk style matches. We're falling asleep at the dual meets, not really entertained, but they can't take their eyes off the mat when I'm wrestling freestyle. Just the excitement from someone who doesn't do the sport and maybe just as a spectator. They want to see something a little bit more exciting and, you know, not falling asleep watching ride-outs and going into tiebreakers on ride-outs. Let's be honest, guys. From a spectator's point, I don't care what you think's better for maybe controlling of martial arts. That's not the point I'm trying to make here. It's about what's more exciting for other people who aren't wrestlers to watch it. Because if we want to grow wrestling, we need fans that aren't wrestlers. And that's the key here. We need to get, I think top and bottom is super boring to do, regardless of what it teaches you. For the most part, watching it is really difficult. We need to do something changing there, even with the folk style rules, especially with maybe adding a push out. There's a lot of different rules that need to change in folk style, in my opinion, but I think transitioning to freestyle makes it more simple and we're all on the same page. Even people who are watching the MMA have gotten, you know, frustrated and bored with a lot of the ground game in it because, you know, control on the mat isn't exciting to watch from a you know, a casual's point of view. And I think that's what folk style falls victim to with 2-minute ride-outs, 3-minute ride-outs in a whole period. Literally no one could care less. Everyone wants to go get a concession break. So in my opinion, this is what really needs to change. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed my video today. Let me know what you guys think about the difference of folk style versus freestyle. If you agree or disagree, I want to know in the comments. And a reminder, like and subscribe if you like my content and you want to see more content. Let's go, baby. World champs in everything we do.